Now, this is A2. Sure you realize that? Yep. For some reasons. Of course. Whoa, okay. I know, right? Yep, if I can see him visually. Right, of course. If I can see him, yep, okay. Yeah, no idea, right? Yep, it was, visually. Until I realized that. Of course. For some reasons. Yep. Alright, I did not want that. I know, for some reasons. Yep, if I could assume. Yep. Eventually. Of course. Whoa. I did not spoons this. Yep. Because I am not sure for some reasons. Because I am not sure. Yep, eventually. Because I have no idea, right? Resor, what are you doing here? I know. For some reasons, I guess I was right, isn't? Nope. So you have no idea, right? Yep, if I can see him, eventually. Of course. Not sure you realize that. Yep. Because I am not sure for some reasons, eventually. Of course. Just let me know, okay? Okay. Alright then. Whew. At least I have no idea why. Yep. Okay. I was gonna make sure. I know, right? Yep. If I could assume. Okay. You have no idea. Of course. Oh, you have no idea, right? Yep. If I could assume. Yep. Eventually. Because I am not sure. Sure you realize that? Yep. For some reasons. You have no idea, right? Yep. He does, eventually. Of course. I'm not sure you realize that. I know, for some reasons. Yep. Because I am not sure. Isn't? Nope. Right. Do we realize that? Yep. Of course. Because I am not sure, isn't? Nope. Right. Check last time, okay? It's a little bit familiar. Of course. I'm not sure I realized that, isn't? Nope. Right. You're not sure? Nope. Okay. I was gonna make sure. We know, Julie. If I could assume. Yep. Because I am not sure. Did I realize that? Yep. For some reasons. I have no idea. Of course. I was gonna make sure, isn't? Nope. Right, I did not realize that. For some reasons? Nope. Right. You know sure you realize that? I know that visually. Of course. Not sure you realize that? I know. Visually. Right. You know sure? Yep. It does visually. Of course. At least I was trying to. I know. Visually. If I assume. Yep. Right. Did I realize that? Nope. Okay. Not sure you realize that. I know, right? Yep. For some reasons. Nope. Okay, do we realize that? Nope. Right. Sure you realize that? Yep. You're not sure? It does eventually. Of course, you're not sure? Yep. Did I realize that? If I could assume, Julie. Of course. At least it was trying to, right? Yep. If I could assume. Right. No, sure. For some reasons. Yep. Of course. Should you realize that? I know. For some reasons. Yep. Okay, you're not sure? Yep, it does, Vigili. Of course. I was gonna make sure. I know. For some reasons. Yep, it does. Of course. It sure isn't.